hello beautiful people, thank you so much for tuning in to Thrive Out Loud. And as always, it's such a joy sitting here sharing a little bit of myself with you. First things first, house rules. And here we like, we comment, and I like, and we share. Okay. As I was saying, house rules. In here we like, we comment, we subscribe, we click on the bell notifications, and we tell a friend to tell another friend to tell another friend to bring some popcorn. I feel like my boobs are all over the show. The irony of that's kind of the purpose of it. So let's get into it. So this is now part 4 of my breast cancer journey, and if you haven't already watched the first 3 installments, I'd highly recommend that you do, just so you know where we are, so you're on par with the rest of the story. But if you prefer to camp right on here, that's also great. Let's get into today's topic. So just a bit of background. I touched on how I first discovered that there were abnormal growths in my boobies, and the steps I took after that, which was to basically get like a general practitioner to check me out, gave me a referral to a surgeon, a specialist, and then I was now referred to like a lab where they would be taking samples of my of the growths in my breasts. Then after that, there was the first operation, which was in 2011. There was the second operation, which was in 2014. There was the third operation, which was in 2016. Now you might wonder, up until this point, but baby girl, can't I know, I too just wish to be normal, but unfortunately, after every single operation I had, I kept getting new and new lumps, and some would behave differently, like in a way that wouldn't exactly make me confident to say, this one I know it's not cancer, or this one is cancer. You can never know for sure until you get checked out by a medical professional. Okay, we're now at a point where we had a successful breast cancer awareness event in 2015, and I've now had my third operation in 2016. Now you might wonder, okay, where to from here? Just like the other 3 occurrences, right? Shortly after my operation, I started to feel the growths again. I started to feel some abnormalities again, because by now I'm an expert player. Now I'm an expert at touching my boobs and spotting the difference. Or wait, this one was not here yesterday, and feeling it out, kind of feeling down to the texture to say, okay, this one feels like a peach or plum pip. When you have a plum that is a bit too ripe and it's super soft, but you're able, like so soft that you're able to touch the pip that's on the inside. That's how some of the lumps felt. Some of them felt like the ones in grapes, where they just keep on escaping, they just keep on moving around, So up until now, my doctor now knew me by name, and all of this was just, I don't want to say starting to feel tiring, but it was now evidently tiring. Like, how many times is a girl gonna go to the doctor for the same thing and still not find a permanent solution, right? So by the time we get to 2017, there's now a couple of those growths, because my problem with them is that it doesn't just form and stay the same size. If it formed and it was this small and it stayed this small forever, I don't think I'd have a problem with it, honestly, because you're there to stay. What must I do now if you want to visit my boobs, So it comes as this small thing, then it keeps growing and growing, and then it multiplies. So today you could feel it being a certain size. Tomorrow when you check, it's doubled in size, and now there's 2 of them. Then, as the time goes on, there's now a couple of them, and obviously the discomfort starts. And you know what, it's tiring, to say the least, right? So they got so bad that they started to now spread to my armpit area. Like, they filled up my boobs and they now spread to my armpit area, and obviously where, like, I feel like this is all over the show. Obviously where the bra sits, you see where the bra sits, like where your bra goes from the front to the back, there were some over there as well. And obviously this was now, it was a living hell, honestly. I started to kind of hate my body. I started to hate the very boobs that I felt like they were making me look like the girl. I started to hate them. I started to hate anything that had to do with my boobs because they were just causing me so much heartache.
What is the cost of having boobs, Kanti?
I mean, I'm already buying bras just to keep them afloat. Can they at least show that they are thankful and grateful for all of this? And obviously now I'm an adult, and now being off my parents' medical aid, I now kind of have to fend for myself, right? Which was not a problem. The company where I initially started my internship with was a really great company. We had medical aid, we had benefits, like it was lovely, it was great. But they ran into a bit of some ouchies and oopsies, and then they had to start retrenchments. And that's how I ended up at the company I was at up until I got booted out like 3 months ago. Do check out all the other story times. You'll get a bit of context as to why, as to like what's going on. And if you've seen the Chronicles of Joel story times, you would know that 2017 was the worst possible year for anything to be happening or for anything to be going wrong, specifically because I was with the devil himself, and the last thing I need is, just a lot going on. But obviously, life deals you with lemons that just don't want to open, right? So the lumps are now forming up, and by 2017 I had now joined the second company, the second company I was working for, and things were tricky in that company. So I just touched base to say on some months we wouldn't get paid on time. We would get paid maybe a month or 2 months, 3 months, or even 4 months later. And so something like a medical aid didn't really seem ideal for that kind of situation, because if I'm not going to be able to keep up with my payment, then it's not useless, but I'm kind of defeating the purpose of this whole thing. And it didn't really make sense to like take maybe 1.5 and pay medical aid and not have food in the house because I haven't been paid in 3 months, so I kind of had to juggle a lot of things around. Let me know if you also want a separate story time where I go in depth, discuss like the different, like how I coped in a company where we were not getting paid like consistently and regularly, like how life was, the different sacrifices I had to make, and just how impossible life was. Let me know if it's a story you'd like to hear more about. I'd love to tell you more if you want to hear about it. But going back to this one, I just had to reshuffle and shuffle a lot of things around, and it was just becoming too much. So I canceled the medical aid I initially had, and this now meant I am at the mercy of the public healthcare system. And not all is lost, because I feel like the specific institution I visited, for me, they are top notch. For me. So I then started consulting at Helen Joseph in Joburg. So they have their own breast cancer wing at the heart, they have their own breast cancer department there. I think it's the hospital where breast cancer referrals are sent to. Could be wrong, but I'm just saying it seemed big enough to be able to kind of handle referrals from other places, right? So I started consulting at Helen Joseph, and I had an amazing doctor, and she was actually a professor who founded the breast cancer movement, the Think Pink movement, the Bosom Buddies movement. She founded a lot of cancer awareness movements in South Africa, and she's obviously been a pioneer in raising awareness, in raising the voice, and in speaking about this, just making sure that people are aware. So then I had to first consult, and I went there with all my files from my two previous doctors, from the first one and the second one from the first one who was in charge of my first operation, and my second doctor was in charge of the second and third operations, and basically explained everything that was going on. And by the time I consulted with her, it was now the year of 2019, because from 2018 I started my BTech studies, and there was just simply no time. I don't want to lie. Working full time, I was running a kiddies pamper party thingy, and I was studying as well, and I was just trying to be a decent and social human being. There was just simply no time. So I think I consulted somewhere around 2019. That's where I kind of got a bit of a break from everything, and it wasn't easy, I won't lie. I had the fear of the fact that This was kind of the longest I had gone without getting checked out. It had been the longest, and I had that fear, what if, now it's my fault that I worried that what if now I ruined my chances of survival just because over the last 3 times I was fine and nothing happened and I didn't need to undergo chemotherapy. I worried that what if this was the time where it's actually very dangerous and I am here just being laid back. So that's what got me off my ass to get help, seek out treatment if I needed to seek out help and just understand like what's going on, what's my story, what are my odds, right? But then with this particular doctor, and obviously as I stated, now it's a public healthcare system, and the way things are done in the public versus the private healthcare system, they're completely different, right? This special treatment you get from your private doctor, you're not going to get it at a public healthcare because there's probably like 50 of you guys that need assistance on that day, and they want to see to everyone so that everyone is attended to and whatnot. And I feel like that in itself was an eye-opening experience, not the public healthcare stuff, but being able to interact with more people that were dealing with what I was dealing with. That was a bit of an eye-opening experience for me, because that's when you see people one-on-one. When you have your own private doctor, you most likely never see anyone who's dealing with what you're dealing with, because you're given a date where it's only you who's coming there. You get operated, you go home, and that's that. So up until the year of 2019, the last time I had kind of tried to spread awareness about it was 2015, when we had the first cancer awareness event. And after that, I was just vocal about it, but I wasn't really doing much about trying to educate and make people aware about my specific experience, and try and empower people to just seek out help if you need help. So now getting into a space where there's 20 other ladies, some whose boobs are leaking, some whose boobs have discolored completely, some who have now gone numb on one side of their body because of what's happening on their breasts, some who have gone through chemotherapy and have maybe had to what's that procedure called, double mastectomy. But some that have undergone chemotherapy maybe once or twice, some who have had to get operated on and have their boobs completely removed, just being able to interact with all those different people from all those different spectrums in one room. For me, it was very emotional, but it was also very full circle, because it told me right there and then to say, A, you're not alone, B, speak about it, spread awareness, make people aware wherever you are. Just try and make people aware about this. So this is now around July going to August of 2019, when I went in for my second appointment with the doctor, and that's when they put me under this huge light. They had markers on my boobs, and we first started with the self-examination. So she was getting me to kind of examine, to tell her what I feel, what I think is there. And then she went in to also examine me. And then after that, we sat down with 2 other specialists who now present their options, because it's a public hospital. There's no leverage of time to run tests, and because these things cost money. So it's very easy when you have a private doctor and they know your medical aid covers everything. But when you're footing the bill, when the hospital themselves is footing the bill, and we know South Africa, there's some things that just cannot happen realistically. So there were no tests run. And we sat down with 2 other specialists, and they basically give their recommendations to say, okay, so based on your experience, this is what we think. So the first doctor thought it might not be advisable to have another operation or to basically cut, because based on the history, these things are most probably to keep coming back. And since the previous occurrences proved not to be cancerous, although some were inconclusive, it's most likely just a case of fibroadenoma, just the lumps alone. And if that's it, then they'll most likely come and go on their own. They don't need to be removed every single time they come. But the second doctor now had a fear based on the fact that my family had a history of cancer, and some of the lumps that were removed were inconclusive. And it's just that I never went back after the operation to say, did you manage to test all of them that came out? Like, did you manage to now get all the test results? Like, am I completely in the clear, or do I need to be worried type of vibe? So then now it's now kind of down to a flip of a coin to say, what do you want? And obviously I don't want foreign stuff in my body. And I could hear both sides of the story, and odd enough, I agreed with both of them. I agreed that yes, since they keep coming and we keep taking them out, maybe the reason they keep reforming is the fact that we keep taking them out. But equally, there's the discomfort that comes with the stuff that are in my boobs. There's the discomfort of knowing, first of all, that there's something that shouldn't be there. And then there's the discomfort of the things themselves, feeling them that they're there, and just being unable to be normal because you know that they're there, right? And then now, on the second hand, knowing my family's history with cancer and the fear that I might be next, the fear that maybe now it's my turn. And that in itself, it does something to your way of living, man. It just makes you feel like life is already too short with everything that's going on. Now to add this to the mix, it's a bit much. But obviously a choice had to be made, and then I opted to be operated on just to be on the safe side. And so my worry was that with that specific one that happened in 2019, that was an actual cancer scare, because the way the lumps felt and behaved would completely different compared to all the other occurrences, the 3 occurrences. And as she felt them up, she said it might be fibroadenoma, but the thing is, there are some that they're just like, I could almost guarantee that this one is going to form into a malignant lump, and this one is good. Like, it was traumatic, it was emotional, and more than anything, I didn't want to leave it to chance to say, we'll just wait and see. If a doctor is telling you that, hey, your chances might not be as good as the previous times, because obviously now you're growing older, your lifestyle has changed, your lifestyle choices have changed, like the way you live, the stuff you eat, your activity levels, they're not the same, and your body might not react the same to, even if it's the same thing. So rather be safe than sorry. So 2019, I believe, somewhere around, was it August or September? I'd say maybe July, August. Yeah, somewhere around July and August, I now went in. Time number 4, under the knife, and by now I'm an expert, Pella. I know they're going to put that thing in my hand and it's going to make my body freeze. I know they're going to put that on me, and then they're going to tell me stories, and then I'm going to fall asleep, and then before I know it, I'm up. I feel sick to my stomach, and I probably won't be able to stomach food for about 2 to 3 hours after the operation. But it's what happens after that I look forward to, the fact that I got another chance, and another chance more than anything to talk about it, to tell the next person about it. Then a couple of months later, we're now in October, and I just felt compelled in my soul that this is the time to have the second cancer awareness event, because now I've kind of lived the experience. I had an actual scare where they were now giving me like all the information about chemotherapy and what it would entail. At some point, I had even considered cutting my boobs off completely, because I just felt like this journey, my boobs are abusive. I just felt like this journey is never ending, and now I'm tired. I was tired, and I was just considering ending it all. I remember going through that option of actually like removing my boobs completely, and my doctor was completely against it. She said I'm being silly. She said you have beautiful boobs, and that is a very silly way out because of fear. And yes, that is true. I wanted to remove them out of fear, because if they're gonna keep coming back, what if the next time they return, they are not detectable? I'm not able to feel them, because some of them are so small. The way I would feel like I have 3 lumps, and then when we're having the sauna, it reveals that there's 10. And then now you see where the danger is. So I just felt like, I'm not safe. Let's just remove the boobies themselves. Maybe we'll just opt for reconstructive surgery afterwards, and then let's just call it a day, because I just felt like this journey was now becoming like it was becoming so taxing on me. But my doctor was completely against it. She said there's absolutely no reason to do so because your breast tissues are still healthy. It's just that you keep getting lumps here and there, but your breast tissues are still healthy, and there's no need to cut off everything. You can just remove what is there and hope for the best, honestly. So that was 2019. Then 2 months later, like I said, felt compelled to have a cancer awareness event, and this time around it felt different. I organized everything from start to end with a team of amazing people, and it was very emotional for me. It was very emotional, but I feel like on that day, that's when I was able to now share my story, as black and white as it is. I was able to share my story with the guests, and got a couple of professionals to step in and speak to us as well about what to look out for, the dangers, and also touch on the different types of cancers, because this month is specifically breast cancer awareness month doesn't mean that we don't need to shed a light on the other different types of cancers. The event was an epic success. It had the cute cupcakes, had a cute cake. I'll see if I can find a couple of pictures to link somewhere here, or to put somewhere on screen just to show you. But it went really well, and I felt like I had done my homework after that event. I felt at peace to say, maybe I'm the one who needs to go through certain things just so that some people don't have to. Maybe I'm the one who has to literally go under the knife so that I can come back and live to tell the story. So it is now 2022, and I'm happy that I haven't had any unusual growths in my boobies ever since, and I'm happy that I was able to successfully breastfeed my son after all these operations that I've had, because that was one of my worries, to say, but after my boobs have been cut up so much, will I still be able to breastfeed, or will I be forced to use formula? But I'm just so grateful that I was able to breastfeed him from the very first day he was born until the day he and I decided that we're not doing this anymore, and he never had to use formula. And I'll always be grateful for that. And up until today, I'm happy that I haven't had to deal with that ever again. We don't know in the unforeseeable future if I'll ever have to deal with it again. But as of today, I am just so happy that I haven't had any unusual growths ever since, and we're just taking it a day at a time. We've now reached the end of my breast cancer journey. I hope it resonates with someone, inspires someone to take action, inspires someone to seek help. That one small lump you feel and you think, it'll just go away, don't leave it to chance. Get it checked out, and rather be safe than sorry. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Thrive Out Loud. As always, it's such a joy sitting here sharing a little bit of myself with you guys, one episode at a time. Remember the house rules in here: we like, comment, subscribe, we click on the bell notifications, and we tell a friend to tell another friend to tell their mommies to bring on some popcorn, because it's nice, and the more the merrier. Do share, do subscribe, please comment. Thank you. Bye.